So Republican senators are proposing a new bill that would actually send families up to $4,200 per year. Now I want to touch on this because this is not technically a new idea. This is something that many lawmakers have been pushing for quite some time, and I want to address this because this is coming from 3 Senate Republicans. That's the big difference. So, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this specific bill right here. Senator Mitt Romney introduces new plan to send most parents up to $350 monthly checks per kid. Why is that so important? Well, here's the reason why. This new proposal, it was proposed by Senator Mitt Romney out of Utah, Senator Richard Burr out of North Carolina, and also Senator Steve Daines out of Montana. Okay, all Republicans. Now, this $350 payment, okay, I want to just want to be very clear on this. This would be for children that are 5 and under. For children that are 6 to 17 years old, you would only receive $250 per child. Now, we do not know if there's a cap on this one yet because the proposal has been changing ever so slightly, but there's a couple big things. Here's one of them. Only families earning at least $10,000 annually would qualify for the full cash payments. Now, I want to be clear on this. The full cash payments. What we do know is if you make less than $10,000, you're not cut out. You do not miss out on the entire payment or everything, but you'd receive a proportional share based on how much lower than the $10,000 you are. So that's where things get a little bit dicey. That's one of the reasons why most Democrats aren't really in favor of this proposal, just because it's cutting out a certain percentage of the population. Now, according to reports, this proposal would reduce child poverty by about 13%. So that's actually pretty good. Now, it's not as big as when we saw about, 25 to 30% of children were pulled out of poverty from the last child tax credit payment, right? That was done in 2021. So that was pretty big. This is still a big move, but it's not as substantial. So some Democrats say if we were to include everybody, even those that make less than $10,000, that would really improve this, and that would pull a lot more children out of poverty. So it is what it is, but we'll see how this kind of moves the needle. My expectation, again, this is just my expectation. We keep hearing more Republicans jump on board with this idea of provide children and families with this child tax credit payment or more of an advance. But we haven't got Democrats really jumping on any of these ideas. And it's all because of where the money's coming from or how it's being funded, right? So let's talk about that. Then I'll talk about who would actually qualify. So one of the reasons why this isn't getting as much support from Democrats is because the way it's funded. The way it is funded as of right now, or at least according to the text that we have seen, it would be by modifying the earned income tax credit and eliminating federal tax breaks for state and local taxes. Those are the two big ways. It's not about let's provide more money. It's not about taxing the American people more, taxing the wealthy, right? It's not about taxing corporations. That's not how they're going to get the money, all right? And so that, again, that's a pretty big move there. That's probably one of the reasons why Democrats aren't going to jump on it. Now, here's the other question I know I'm going to get. Is this a political move from Republicans? It honestly could be. But I don't think it is because this is something that Senator Mitt Romney, he pushed back in 2021. Senator Mitt Romney, he was the one that really got the child tax credit payment changed and adjusted when it got passed in the American Rescue Plan back in March of 2021. So I don't think this is a political move. I think this is something that many people do want, many lawmakers are in favor of. The problem is the text, the verbiage. That's where things are getting a little bit murky. So we'll see what happens there. As for who would receive this money, first off, you have to be a guardian or a parent, so that includes grandparents as well. That's one of the reasons why there's that $10,000. Okay, that $10,000 minimum threshold, because most elderly people are still going to receive a little bit over $10,000 per year. Again, that's not much, but it does put you in that bracket of receiving the full amount. Also, individuals that make over $200,000 and couples making over $400,000, you would actually see phase outs at those amounts. We don't know how quickly the phase out would occur, but we do know there would be phase outs. Again, I don't want to speculate too much on this because honestly, I think this is a good start, but I think there's a lot of changes that have to be made in order for Democrats to jump all on board with this. So that's one of the big things there. Let's see. As for one of the other issues, one of the sticking points, again, I've talked about this just a little bit, but Democrats, they're not going to support the fact that anybody making less than $10,000 doesn't get the full amount, simply because they say this is going to prevent the poorest 6% of households from getting this child tax credit payment. So I think that's a big, big issue. Is it something they can overcome? Yes, it is. But as of right now, we just don't know. Here's the other thing. Now I want to read you what Senator Mitt Romney had to say. He had this to say. Okay, let's read this. We'll read this together. He said, and I quote, "We must do better to help families meet the challenges they face as they take on the most important work any of us will ever do, raising our society's children." He also goes on to say, "This proposal proves that we can accomplish this without adding to the deficit or creating another new federal program without any reforms." Now here's the thing, and this is what many people have been talking about before that do not have children, is why are we paying for your child? Why are we paying to make sure your child is fed and clothed and has everything that they need? Why is it coming out of the taxpayer dollars? Well, here's the thing you need to keep in mind is all these federal programs are taking money from taxpayer dollars. That's how we get funding for a lot of this stuff, is taxpayers. So I get the thought behind that, but this is where things get very interesting. People are talking about child tax credit payments, right? People are talking about lowering prescription drug costs. People are talking about getting another stimulus check, which honestly I don't think is going to happen, right? But they're talking about these things. The big one, and it's all stemming off of this, is the student loan forgiveness. Up to $10,000 in student loan forgiveness. That right there is causing lawmakers to go back and reconsider child tax credit payments, prescription drug reform, trying to get more to people on Social Security and the elderly, because all these people are being left out, all because they didn't have student loans. That's the reason why. So again, I think there's a lot of discussions that are going to be had over the next probably few months, but just keep in mind, as we get more and more discussions, that's actually good news. That means it's on lawmakers' minds, which if it's on their mind, there's a chance that they will discuss it. They will propose different bills, and we could see something actually move forward from it. So again, that's what we know at this time. I know I got a lot of questions from people asking, is this true? Are we going to receive $4,200? It's possible. But again, I don't think it's going to happen right now. It could potentially happen after the midterm elections. But again, that might not take place until 2023. And by that time, it's going to be a huge, inflation is going to be a deciding factor. If we see inflation just continue to run, I don't see child tax credit payments going through. I think there's going to be other forms of assistance. But again, we'll have to wait until we get there, and then we'll know what actually happened. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.